MK, can I just say that you dragged me away from Spider-Man 2 for this?
I told you it was 19 inches deep.
Yeah. Carlos has been experiencing all 19 inches of venom.
19 inches of venom. Oh yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another TFI podcast. This month being October's, and I am joined here today again by the usual MK, the one who gets this podcast off his feet.
Hi.
And also we have Carlos, also known as Ramtarts, who was the co-director and co-writer of Hearts of Steel. Say hi, Carlos.
Hello.
I went to the comments for episode 5 of the podcast, and they're all about all the questions are, when's Hearts of Steel? I'm like, well, hey, good. So to answer your guys' question on the podcast, Hearts of Steel is out.
It is?
You know what's funny? If you look at the comments for Hearts of Steel, it's all just everybody noticing the Gigawatt cameo.
That's the only... And the thing is, it's not even the most obvious cameo. Like, yes, it's obvious, but it's pretty quick. But for some reason, this is the one film that everyone points out the Gigawatt cameo.
I feel like the most obvious one is still like one of the first ones. The Covenant one.
I think that the most obvious Gigawatt cameo is actually in Finest Hour. The shot where Hot Rod's talking, and in the background, you just see a DeLorean. It's just there for like 5 seconds. And it's funny, the Gigawatt cameo was actually more obvious in the original take of Hearts of Steel, because the shot was actually a lot wider, and you saw Gigawatt for a lot longer, and Carlos goes, it's a bit too obvious. Maybe just trim that shot or zoom it in. I think you asked me to do that twice.
Well, it's because the way the shot played out was like the train was standing still, and then you just see Gigawatt moving in the frame, so it just draws your eyes to it. So I just felt that was too obvious.
I just love that everyone was pointing it out.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I wonder if they like the movie. I can't tell because everybody seems to be pointing out the cameo.
We'll never know. All we know is that there was a cameo. MK, did you manage to point out any questions?
Yeah, I just got one, which is, I guess we can knock it out, from Prater Productions Studios 3459, which is just, if someone wants to audition for a role or an upcoming film or project of yours, how would someone do that? You should leave a comment on every video saying, hey, give me... No, I'm kidding. Don't do that.
Give me this role.
The best place to audition for a role in TFI is, if you have Discord, join our Discord server, because there is a chat for voice actors where you can post your demo reels, examples, impressions, all that kind of stuff. And also, every now and then, I'll look into that chat and see what people are up to. But also in the Discord is where we ask people for auditions. So definitely joining the server is a great place to do that.
Have either one of you seen Amphibia?
No.
There's this episode where there's a character called Hop Hop. He's got a suggestion barrel, and he'll just take suggestions. You got to put them in the barrel. But one day they lift the barrel up, and it's just a fire pit at the bottom. It just burns the suggestions as they go in.
Well, it's because we've always said, just because you put something in there doesn't mean we'll listen to it. We're very clear that if we don't think it's a good suggestion, we're probably not adding it.
Suggestion, remove the suggestion box.
No, the thing that I always feel bad because I don't want to, first of all, half the people put film ideas in the suggestion box. Which, you can, sure, but, no. Second of all, I feel like I'm calling out the Discord with this. Second of all, I feel like it's just better to ignore the suggestion than be no, than acknowledge it and be like, no, your suggestion sucks.
No.
It's bad.
This sucks.
No, I don't want to do that, so you'll see it.
Give up on your dreams.
Just give them the HR response. We'll consider it.
We need to start coming up with an auto-generated response. That's just every time someone posts a suggestion, it's just a bot that goes, this is being put into consideration. If it doesn't happen, please know that we have read it and we've
So, by the way, very quick thing I wanted to say before we touch on more topics. People have asked this year already, are we going to do a Christmas special? And I was adamant about not doing one this year, about just taking a break. But then Carlos sends me a message saying, you, me, Christmas special. And I was in.
So what's the Christmas special this year?
We don't know.
Oh, shit. Good job, guys.
Well, no, Carlos did pitch a neat idea, but it would be a bit too long of a project to work on. But it was like a Transformer version of A Christmas Carol.
Well, I didn't get to pitch anything because you're like, after Halloween. And then I was like, oh. Okay.
No, yeah, hold on. You pitched some stuff. You pitched some
After
stuff.
Halloween.
I said, hey, you know which one's a cool one is A Christmas Carol. So, and then I just kind of threw some characters that might work for Scrooge. But and then you said wait till after Halloween, so I didn't say anything else.
Do you know who would make a silly cameo to keep the trend going?
What?
Dreadwind. Anyway,
I knew it. You literally told me the other day you want to put that character to rest.
I want to put him in rest and roll out stuff, but I don't want to put him in rest in Christmas videos because he's not in Megatron Soul Christmas because I didn't talk to you then, but he's been in every Christmas special since then.
Oh, he's in Christmas Truce.
Yes.
Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah. Oh, you're a manual car or whatever. Yeah.
I thought Megatron Stole Christmas was the second one. It was actually the first.
It was the first, yeah. The second one was Christmas Truce, and then we had Driving Home for the Holidays, right?
Driving Home for Christmas, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at me, I'm a manual car. I'm special.
I'm special.
That was a direct line to Cooler, right?
No, I think because in the script it is you said something like he mocks him a bit, but I think I went.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, okay, I'm ready. Like, I went so intense with that line.
No, because that wasn't even the line. That was you just readying yourself.
Somebody in the Q&A asked what character from your movies we relate to. And I was like, Inferno from Driving Home from Christmas.
I
didn't say a single line in the movie.
I didn't. I wanted to respond to them. I didn't know how because I'm like, I feel like I like aspects of certain characters, but yeah, no, I remember seeing the Inferno in Driving Home for Christmas and cackling.
Just did nothing but stand there. Oh my god! But yeah, no, it's. But we will discuss a possible Christmas special this year. I do need it to be for Halloween to be over so I can get myself in the proper spirit because I'm still in the spooky mood. So,
I already did the Halloween party. I'm over it.
So, I shall share. I'm not gonna specify who, but I will say I have discussed with people who have seen the podcast, and have mentioned how like the podcast, especially last episode, has been inspiring, and that's all we want to do. So like, I appreciate seeing stuff like that, and it's what I think. It's what makes me want to keep doing this. I think even on like episode 5, someone already said like I can't wait for episode 6. I'm like, yeah, sure, it doesn't get the same views as like the films do, but I don't know.
People watch these?
Just seeing, yes, people do. I'm surprised. I actually get messages about it from people.
Really?
Yeah, no, I do.
Oh. No, I like them because like inspiring others is what inspires me.
I mean, I like listening to them on my drive back home because they're like about the same length of time. So,
no, I know Matt apparently will listen to them on some drives.
Matt should not be driving.
He should be driving.
Jazz hands. What?
What?
Okay.
I got that his side of the story for that too. That was so good.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
That's
all right.
great.
So now that we've talked about the podcast and the questions and how the podcast makes people feel and Christmas, let's talk about Hearts of Steel, the film Carlos has been trying to get made for like 6 years now.
Yeah.
more or less.
I remember it started because there was a while ago I picked up Hearts of Steel Optimus and Bumblebee just because I wanted them. And I was like, I tweeted one day, if I get enough Hearts of Steel figures, I will make a film. And then I was like, Carlos is the Hearts of Steel fanatic. Hey, Carlos.
Fanatic, you know.
No, but you knew a lot.
You were
Like, a
kind
lot
of
more
shocked
than
when I found out I didn't like trains. It's the time period I'm into.
How dare you.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that. I didn't know the lore that you're not a trade person. You just like the time period. I didn't know the.
Yeah, I was like, hey, that's cool that they're in the Industrial Revolution.
This is very interesting because I think this is the first time we've really discussed a project on the podcast that I had very little involved with in the production.
You were just Starscream's voice.
Yeah.
Well, I do declare.
I do. Oh, did I leave those in? Oh yeah, because I never edited Bloomberg.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, that's so. They're so sad that there's no Hearts of Steel cut where Starscream says, "I do declare." No.
I do declare. No, it's so great.
Fans kind of were either way for your Starscream. I saw some people that were like, I loved it, and then some people were like, what is this?
It's because how do you do Starscream with a Southern Belle voice? Like, because it's not a Southern drawl. It's like that specific Southern, like, rich person voice.
I saw a single comment that said Starscream's voice was like nails on a chalkboard.
Oh, thanks. I didn't need to know that.
No, but I'm sitting there thinking, isn't that a good thing?
I mean, that's kind of the point. I mean, his
'Cause
voice is
that's the point.
obnoxious.
Hey, I loved
Yeah.
it, alright?
No, me too. I loved it.
Listen,
We wanted him to be dramatic and over the top.
Yeah. No, I knew people were gonna probably either love or hate the idea. Again, it was the most difficult recording session I've had to probably do.
I think people forget that Starscream is a diva and should be portrayed as such.
I know. I loved MK. Your Hearts of Steel Starscream is one of my favorite roles of yours by far. It is so obnoxious and so funny, and it's funny when the new Transformers comic came out. Carlos and I were like, oh shit, we wrote Starscream pretty accurately.
Yeah, because there's like, I guess spoilers for the first issue, but there's like a scene where he gets really mad because somebody's about to mention Megatron.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I am the leader. And I was like, oh, we did that. That's fine.
We did it, Carlos. We predicted a comic book.
We predicted the most predictable thing about Starscream.
I mean, to be fair, I feel like there's a trend with TFI films doing one specific prediction, and then it ends up happening. Return to Earth and Rise of the Beasts.
Well, I feel like while Sam did do about 90% of the the writing, Starscream was something that I really focused on when we were making Hearts of Steel.
I feel like that's a similar approach to how when we did Jurassic Spark, how Sam, you wrote the majority of it, but I really took control of writing JP93, and like you do a lot with like the scenes and stuff, but I would always be like, no, JP needs to say this or do this in this scene, and like I understand that, like, even though Sam technically is the main writer, it's like, no, there's a character that you very much, that's me. Sam didn't do that. That's my character. I own him.
Well, the thing about like Starscream in our movie was that we originally intended for him to be the main villain, but we're so limited in figures that we went with Scourge instead.
We got Mr. Headpike himself.
Mr. Headpike. I love how half the marketing is just, I will mount their heads on a pike, and that's it.
I because of the marketing, because I hadn't seen the film, obviously, every time I saw the trailer, I thought that was just like, he was just saying that to be dramatic, and then I watched the film, and there's a whole subplot. You guys are like, yeah, Scourge, he mounts heads on a pike, and I went,
how did we come up with that? Because that happened before the movie came out, so we didn't know about the headline. Oh, you did, but
no, the take off his head, I find makes more sense in the context of Hearts of Steel, because he's literally beheading bots, so Optimus kind of wants to do it back. So I found that line kind of makes a bit more sense. But
granted, he'd do it, but
Yeah, but like Scourge taking heads and mounting them on pikes, I felt because Scourge and Optimus kind of look like knights and like crusaders, and we all know back then there was a lot of beheadings and pikes. So I thought, oh, I want to reference that.
You want to reference them that only popped up in your head. Like, you had a very mental, this character is vaguely knight-shaped. This A to B connection in your head is like something only you could think of. Like, this character is very knight, looks kind of like a knight to me.
He was like, well, we can't fillet them, so.
You could if you weren't a coward.
You could. I just used the protoform figures.
A new version.
Oh, that would be brutal.
Yeah.
Like, a bot just gets his parts ripped off, and he's just a protoform.
Would it hurt though?
I'm gonna write that down because that's brutal.
See, when I made the Ratchet custom, I made his head removable just for that.
Yeah. Not just removable, but that peg fits perfectly into Scourge's hand.
It's actually it's a what do you call it? A golf tee, a little thing that goes in that the ball sits on.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
I think it is a golf tee. That's very silly.
No, that was a really unique thing about Hearts of Steel is that while the actual like mastermind creations and third party figures are quite rare, Carlos, you had made a actual full on custom that looks like it could transform, but then you made some other custom trains that were battery powered, and you actually modified the Prowl train in a way I didn't even know that it was modified when you moved the funnel to the middle of the
apparently
train.
You were holding it by that. I'm surprised it didn't break.
Wait, I need to know about this now. Hold on. Explain to me this funnel thing.
So,
because I don't know trains.
In the concept art for Prowl, the funnel sits a little farther back. So what I did was I cut the, I think somebody called it a boiler, and the funnel, and I swapped them around so that the funnel would be farther back. Apparently Sam was like, when he was filming, he was grabbing it by the funnel, even though that was super glued on. So,
because I didn't know you moved it. I thought that's just how the toy was.
Well, it's because I did all that, and then I painted it. That's why you couldn't tell. I mean, even somebody in the comments got pretty mad about that because they're a train enthusiast, and they were like, that train would never work because the boiler's in the wrong section.
Blame the Transformers story then. Don't blame us. We're just going off the concept art.
And I was like, well, I only have one train to work on, and yeah, I mean, I made the train from a Christmas train. And if you look at the Christmas trains online, it's like they're all the same model. It's just they're painted differently.
See, I've come to realize that like the way train enthusiasts are towards Hearts of Steel is the way I am as an aviation enthusiast to when we did our Top Gun styled film, because I did not know till near the end of production that the coal car on Prowl was backwards. And I'm thinking, I was like, how would you know? I didn't even know a coal car could be backwards.
Well, the ladder's on the wrong side.
Actually, oh God, don't see now. Do you see how, Sam? Now do you realize how annoying you are when you complain about the dive bomb sound effect? Do you realize? Do you now see it?
MK, you have to realize I've stopped complaining about that sound the day I put it in a Halo film.
No, you didn't, because you kept complaining about it in the film.
Oh, I did. For reference, there's this sound effect from World War II of a dive bomber, and it's that classic sound of a plane going into a dive. Every Hollywood movie that involves a plane going into a dive, they play that sound.
It's for dramatic effect.
Airplanes do not naturally make that sound. It is a physical siren on the World War II dive bomber.
I was gonna use this analogy, but I know for Sam it doesn't work. It's the whole, like, the Star Wars. Yeah, there's no sound in space, but you wouldn't want to watch a film where there's no sound in space. But then I know Sam is the type, you're like, I would fix Star Wars by taking out the sound in the space battles.
It's just silent scene.
Here's the thing, though. I do defeat my own gripes by, I'm no better, because I'll complain about these things and then do the same thing. There was a space battle in Gigawatt 3. You hear sounds and see explosions. There was a plane in Bumblebee World War II that makes the same dive bombing sound. So I'm just as guilty. I am just as guilty. But with Hearts of Steel, when it came to like sound design, I wanted to really do something kind of unique. So like every train will have a unique whistle or sound itself. All the planes are the sound of a biplane, and the guns are like a really old Vickers machine gun, just to kind of match the time, even though Vickers guns didn't exist then, but close enough.
We're already pushing it with flying machines, so we're fine.
I also love the horror horn, the horror steam horn or whatever of Scourge.
That was a callback to the Interstellar remake, where Nemesis Prime's horn, you'll hear him before he arrives on the scene. It's the exact same thing with Scourge. You'll hear the whistle, this haunting demonic whistle, before he arrives at the scene.
See, you and me both play a certain horror training game, and so it gives me...
Scourge is just Choo Choo Charles.
Exactly. I'm just like, oh god, when is he gonna grow spider arms?
You're gonna grow spider legs and go...
You know, going back to the train nerds, there's actually a line that Bumblebee says where they're about... This when they wake up, and Optimus says they need disguises, and Bumblebee's like, take your pick, you know, there's not much to choose from. I was like, that's gonna piss off some train enthusiasts because we just generalized all the trains.
We just generalized. Like, how dare you? There's a wide variety. You see that train that says 1870, 1879?
Oh, we got so many comments about that. The 1889 or whatever. It's like, yeah, it was probably the model of the year the train came out of. But within the story, we just took it as, oh, it's just a train number. That's just a number it is.
So when it comes to the customs, Carlos, I don't remember if you actually told me, but what was the container, you know, the package, the cargo, what was that made from?
Jewelry box. Like I bought, yeah, I went to Walmart and I was looking around it was like the arts and crafts section, and I found this like pack of 3 little containers where like you could put jewelry or whatever in it. And there was 3 of them. So I took one and I spray painted it black and I put the Autobot symbol on it. And I took the other one and just smashed it with a hammer. And then I spray painted it black so we could have a damaged one and just the normal one.
And then I got dinosaur bones from the dollar store and put them inside.
But that's what they are. It's just it's just a little box. Like, it's a little container.
You know, oh god, MK, did Carlos ever send you like the behind the scenes of him making the Ratchet custom?
He sent me a few. Wait, is there a specific one you're...
I don't think I sent him the video of the long neck.
The long neck. I have seen the long neck.
Oh, you did have?
Yeah.
I made the body from... Like, I bought a second train and I chopped that one up. It was the same one I used to make the Ratchet train. And then I used some RED figures, so those came in handy. I used an RED Bumblebee and an RED Megatron. And I wanted to make the head removable, so I bought these acrylic sticks. They're like the 5mm. And that's what I was going to use for the neck originally. But they're like 8 inches long. So I was test fitting it, and I made the neck hole, and then I stuck the acrylic stick in there, and then I put the head on top, and that was it.
It's so interesting because when you sent me that package with the custom trains and the Ratchet, I was almost convinced that the Ratchet could transform because it was so good, and like the front of the car that he is was so perfectly cut, and its dimensions worked so good as well that I almost hate the fact that we killed him off.
Well, I mean, the reason we killed him off was because he was a custom.
Yeah.
I'm like, with your style of filming, I don't think the paint will survive.
It wouldn't survive. It wouldn't survive.
So that's what made me suggest killing him off.
With my style of filming, the Prowl car didn't survive.
No, and that's been talked about at the TF Con. We blew up a train.
That story will be told until death, because when we did the Hearts of Steel watch parties, that story was told again to the viewers.
I will say, I always act as if I had something to do with. I needed to be saying on this podcast. I was there when they filmed it, but I stayed as far away from possible because every time I'd go near you, you would like set off a smoke bomb or something. I'm like, this is a park. This is protected property. I'm going to go play in the water with Matt and Gavin.
See, what's really funny is right next to me right now are more unlit explosives.
Oh my God.
They're literally right next to me on the floor.
I think the funniest one was when just there was that couple that was like walking towards us, and then you just popped the smoke bomb and they just turned around and walked the other way.
Like the smoke grenades are absolutely tiny. They're no bigger than like a Sharpie marker. But when you pop it, it's this humongous cloud of smoke.
I thought that decision was funny too. It's just, you were like, hey, I'm gonna use real explosives, and I'm like, on these super expensive third-party figures and customs, you're gonna use real explosives.
Customs.
I'm like, I can't wait to see what happens. And then, yeah, not like shortly after you started filming, the train was immediately burnt.
How did the news get broken to you? Did you just get a text like, about your custom?
I can't remember if I asked Sam or Sam just told me, but then I had assumed it was shock, but apparently it was not.
See, what was really funny is when the train derailed and crashed into the explosive, the train is sitting there while the explosive still has 2 minutes of explosive charge left in it, and we're all staring at it, and while I'm holding a bottle of water, I think, oh no, what do I do? It did not cross my mind to throw the water bottle onto the explosive.
Nothing. We'll just watch it burn.
Just watch it burn, thinking, I wish we had a way to put out this fire. But that's not the only instance a train got burned. There was another instance that not many people know about. And there's a sequence in Hearts of Steel where Scourge is hunting Ratchet. And you see Scourge appear in the forest on the tracks with this cloud of smoke. Well, what had happened was I was filming on a little bit of a hill, and I had Scourge on the tracks, and I had the smoke grenade ready to go off. Now, the smoke grenade is a cylinder, so it rolls very well. I put it at least 10 to 20 centimeters away from Scourge. Hit record, popped the smoke grenade, and the minute I let go of the smoke grenade, it rolled down the hill and crashed into Scourge and burned his one side. This expensive Mastermind Creations ultra rare figure is scorched on one side.
It's like everything I warned you would happen happened.
No, everything that could go wrong with Hearts of Steel went wrong. I crashed the drone. Filming, I crashed it on landing. When getting the wide shots of like the trees, like everything went wrong with this project. I think that's why it came out so well. It's because it went wrong.
I mean, did the drone survive?
The drone did survive, yeah, with a bunch of grass and twigs all over it. It just reminded me, MK, there's one thing you pointed out when I showed you some scenes. You were like, Sam, I love how when the characters transform, tracks suddenly appear underneath them.
So you added the shot of them stepping on the track, I think.
I was like, here, MK, tracks don't just appear. Look, they're stepping onto it.
It's like Optimus Prime's trailer. It's just transforming those rails.
Yeah, I think I specifically said, like, I don't care. Like, I know that's how. However, you know people are going to point it out. Like, I think I specifically point out that just people would point out that. And because of that, you had it fixed, and then people found other things to complain about.
It was Hearts of Steel was quite fun though. I mean, Carlos, I think you and I knocked out like the entire story in just one sitting.
I think so. Yeah, there was a couple changes, but yeah, more or less.
You should have recorded it.
I should have. I wish I did. There was one interesting suggestion, Carlos, that you gave, and it still makes me laugh to this day. So the reason why I personally wanted to call it Crimson Skies is because that's the name of an old Xbox like steampunk-esque flying game that was a lot of fun. It was called Crimson Skies: High Road to Revenge. So as a reference, I wanted it in there because the Seekers looked like those planes. Well, when we were writing out the story, Carlos goes, there's not a lot of skies in Crimson Skies. There was like one scene with the flying Seekers, and that was it.
Yeah, I'm like, that title doesn't make much sense. There's not a lot of Seekers in it.
Yeah. But I think, didn't the name also originate when, like, Starscream was still a lead idea for a lead
No, I think
villain?
at that point we had already settled on Scourge, which made even less sense.
No, the name is just a reference, but that's why there's a lot of scenes with Seekers that were added later. Like being Cliff being chased by the Seekers. A hell sequence was kind of that was a scene that was kind of scripted afterwards. Then when they get chased again and they go off the rails, that was another, hey, maybe add Seekers to that scene too, because it was meant to be just Scourge chasing being Cliff. And there's not a lot of skies in Crimson Sky, so the Seekers attack them as well, and that kind of adds to it.
To where it changed it to where, like, the Seekers are basically like a bunch of angry wasps. Like, they see you and they will go after you.
No, that was something I feel like, even though there's not a lot of skies, I feel like one of the reoccurring, like, one of the things that's, like, reoccurring in it is, like, the fact that the Autobots have to constantly avoid being out in the open. They have to, like, there's several moments where, like, they're like, oh, we got to get to a tunnel, or we got to find a way to get out of this, because these Seekers are coming down on us.
Yeah, just before I pointed that out, there wasn't a whole lot of Seekers. But I think it worked out. Yeah.
Crimson Tracks.
Crimson Tracks.
Hopefully the second one makes more sense, but
there was another reference to a film that has a scene that Carlos and I like. There's a movie called Red Tails, where these World War II pilots, they're trying to destroy this train before it gets into a tunnel. And when Carlos was pitching his ideas for Hearts of Steel, he goes, all right, picture that one scene in Red Tails, now make it a whole movie. Just trying to stop this train before it reaches a tunnel. And that's why there's a scene where Bee and Cliff have to get to a tunnel before these planes can actually get to them.
Granted, the reference was before that, but
yeah, they did pick up on someone picked up.
Yeah, there was a couple
the
people that
reference.
did pick up on that. That was nice.
Taking the train for the front like you should have done.
Something I wanted to point out with this film that I think is really neat is, now I don't know, so this may not be the first time. This could have happened before, but I always like to give appreciation for the cast of these films, and I think it's really neat that this film specifically, I don't think there's not a single person that voices more than one character. I think everyone has a distinct voice, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
I was looking at the credits, and unless, like, something goes uncredited, it looks like everyone. I think that was really neat because I really liked the voice cast in this one. It felt like one of the more diverse casts that we've had in a while. I mean, TFI's been getting a lot better at that in recent years anyway, but it was really neat to see. It was also really neat to see, like, certain characters like that, like certain actors who we use a lot being used for different characters. Like, I think Cyborg, Matthew Callahan, him being Optimus was a really unique idea, and that's one of the things that makes the film very interesting to me, is Optimus sounds really good, but he sounds very different from the other Optimuses we've done.
Well, I think when we picked him, I was like, I wanted him to be Optimus ever since Jurassic Spark, because I really liked his Grimlock.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, that would make like a really good Optimus in the 1800s. Like just the way his Grimlock sounded. So when Sam was asking me who should be Optimus, I was like, yeah, that guy. Cyborg Raptor.
Someone did point out that there are a lot of accents.
That was intentional. It's not like we just they just woke up and had accents.
Bumblebee's British, Starscream's Southern.
Yeah, but that was just, I don't know. The way I saw it was just, it was a dialect thing, but also it doesn't really make much sense.
It's back when the English owned everything. So
I liked it a lot. I liked hearing, like, the different voices. I think someone even commented, like, when the newer trailers were coming out, like, why is Bumblebee British all of a sudden? It's like, yeah, because he is now.
See, the way I saw it was, okay, well, they just picked up the accents while they woke up in that time period. But then Sam's like, Well, that doesn't work because Bumblebee already had the accent when he woke up. I don't know. Maybe he just that's it just programmed into him when he woke up.
One of the things that kind of
Wait,
Carlos...
real quick. Sorry, I meant to bring this up earlier. Speaking of accents and British accents, Sam, earlier when we were talking about the putting out the train story, I'm pretty sure you were trying to cover up your British accent because you were talking in a normal cadence and a normal pace, and then you were bringing up water, and you were like, yeah, so we were pouring out, and, I was holding this bottle of water, and then, like, you were trying not to make a stereotypical, like, British, I was noticing the tone of your voice. You were just like, yeah, and I was holding a bottle of water, and then you just were continuing on like as if you were.
I was trying not to go.
No, like I just was laughing. It's like you felt like, or it sounded like you hit like a mental roadblock with that, and you had to like, okay, bottle of water. Okay, I'm good. We can continue.
It was a mixture of two things, trying not to say it in the accent. But here's the thing: I know if I'm gonna slip into the accent, I'll also stutter on that word. So I have to slow down to actually pronounce the word.
I was trying to bring that up earlier, but then I just forgot.
It's funny because MK, I realized as I was saying it, I'm like, that sounded weird.
I caught onto it. I was like, I know what you're doing.
God, but yes, but with the accent thing, there was one thing that kind of cemented the fact that Bumblebee should be British. Is basically my reasoning was that I had just voiced Bumblebee in Finest Hour, and Bumblebee was like pretty much the main character in Finest Hour, voiced by me. I didn't want to voice Bumblebee again with the same tone and inflections and all that, where he's the lead again. So Carlos goes, just use an accent. They had accents back then.
What I found it interesting though, like, because what I liked about doing the Starscream voice is, I did grow up in the South, so I did have a slight, like, I actually trained myself to not say words with a Southern accent, but there was a time where I spoke with a more Southern accent, and so you would think that would be easy for me, but no, the accent you wanted is not the Southern accent. I had the more, like, y'all type hick accent, not the rich I keep calling it Southern Belle Starscream. That has been like my nickname for that voice.
Southern Belle.
I kept saying because I have trigger words to get into certain voices, and to get that Starscream voice was just saying I do declare, but like in a Starscream voice.
I do declare. No, see, it's fun because sometimes you have to say a certain phrase to get the accent. Like every time I voiced Wheeljack in Gigawatt, I had to
like
keep saying,
Optimus or something.
"Hey, Optimus, I found a time machine." That's the only way I could get the voice back. But Carlos, you actually got the chance to voice in Hearts of Steel as well.
Yeah, it's one of my bitches.
Yes.
The project I'm involved in.
It's funny though, because like when we were writing it, like I knew that you wanted to be a seeker, but you also you wanted to voice Red Wing because Red Wing says the Red Tails line.
Yeah, that's the only reason I wanted to voice him.
That's the only reason why.
Hey, it's okay. That's the only reason why Sam even knows who Red Wing is.
Listen. That's
For those
true.
of you who have seen the TFCon panel, and he talks about someone asked what your favorite Seekers were, and he said, "Can I say Red Wing?" I immediately looked at him because I knew exactly why he was saying that. I know. No, I think even when I reread the script, I think I even sent you a text like, "This is why you said Red Wing."
Yep. That's the funny thing. I don't know a lot about Transformers outside of the continuities that I like, so I will only learn to love a character that I don't know if I've used that character. Like, I knew nothing about First Aid until I made the Rollout films. Now I love him. And I haven't seen anything with him in it except for that one episode of G1, season 3.
I mean, I think Red Wing just existed because we just needed palette swaps.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Hearts of Steel was one of those films where I only own I only own Starscream and Skywarp. So Skywarp got recolored.
So if you're wondering why Thundercracker's not in this, that's why.
Do you know what I think is really silly though? You got Gavin to voice a Seeker, and Gavin's favorite character is Skywarp. He did not voice Skywarp.
No, he didn't. He really didn't.
The thing is that Sam had actually had to cover for Gavin because we didn't think he was gonna get to do it. So
Yeah.
we picked a small role because he was just busy.
I think, because I haven't fully watched the final cut.
Thanks, MK.
I've just watched some of the new scenes, but I've seen the film. I saw the second to last cut. It was basically the prior to the final cut. I think you just added one new scene and it didn't have credits. And that cut, Gavin was not Acid Storm.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Now, a neat fact, Carlos. I didn't tell you this, but if you look at the film, most of the Seekers that like die are always green.
I noticed they were like a seafoamy color.
I think a green Seeker dies like 3 times.
Yeah, you killed the seafoam one a lot, and then you killed the Acid Storm at the end.
Did you guys ever watch the special edition of Aliens? The movie Aliens, but the special edition?
Yeah.
The turret scene in that special edition, I'm sure you might know this, but every time they cut to the turret shooting an alien, it's the same alien getting shot, and it's the one from the nest. It's just the same alien dying over and over again. It was just the same Seeker.
I think we're just gonna have to kill the green Seekers now.
Yep. Well, because like I almost laugh because at one point I tried to make it obvious, so I laugh when it happens. There's a shot where Cliffjumper is being chased by Red Wing. Cliffjumper transforms, turns around and shoots, and he kills a green one. Then he transforms again, and he goes off like.
Hey, at that point, it was just notice that.
At that point, I was just doing it on purpose. Oh man, but you know, when it came to those chase scenes, I unfortunately had to go down the route of how Maverick was filmed. A lot of green screen with these plate shots because the trains were just not working. You would pull it with a string and the tracks would go with it, and the wheels wouldn't spin because there'd be no traction. Traction. So I decided to do all the move. Why didn't you guys laugh at that? That was funny. The trains had to be moved digitally, but the one advantage for the trains moving digitally is for being Cliff, I was able to make their control rod on the wheels actually move as the wheels spin. So that was really fun to do because it had a sense of speed. And on steam trains, the control rod that moves the wheels is my favorite thing on steam trains because it just looks so neat. And I wish that Optimus and Scourge had something like that, but they don't. They just have these tiny wheels. But when B and Cliff are moving, that's why there's so many close-ups of that like drivetrain going because it just looks so cool.
You had to do that. You know, we didn't really have a workaround, so I think it came out great.
Is the name to the sequel ever been finalized? Because I thought it was. Because I remember.
Yes.
I'm gonna talk about some of the production behind Hearts of Steel, which I think is really silly. But I know this from behind the scenes. Hearts of Steel 2 was technically planned before Hearts of Steel 1.
Yeah.
I even remember, Carlos, you texted me once like I need to stop coming up with ideas for the sequel and actually work on the first film.
Yep.
Because I think the name for the first film was like.
Well, I mean, if you watched the first one, you know why I'm excited for the second one.
I think the name of the first one, or the second film, you told me, or at least the name you guys had before the first film had even, like, gotten in its, like, first writing stage.
I think we changed it. Yeah, we changed it since then. I don't remember what.
I think the original name was, like, Bone Country or Bone some War.
I think was the second one, actually.
The second one, yeah.
No, I mean, that was the second title idea I had.
Wait, what was the first one?
I can't remember.
Are we good to say the name of the sequel?
Yeah, Dragon Teeth is the sequel, but
it's a prequel. It's a prequel to Jurassic Spark. It's not. Stop saying that, people.
Yeah, that's all. Whenever we finish the watch party, it's like, this is a prequel to Jurassic Spark. I mean, once the sequel comes out, because I have a lot of ideas for the sequel. So
we did also roll out what might have been this month.
Yeah, roll out what might have been. That was a heavy project, and it was pretty trippy because I was working on that alongside of Hearts of Steel, and it was kind of jarring to go from a character driving off a cliff to chasing after dinosaur bones.
I actually found something very. I was talking to someone about the production because they were talking to me about like asking questions about rollout what might have been. And I think at that point the trailer had just come out, and I was like, "Listen, dog, I can only say so much. I'm not really involved in this production." But then, I was involved, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm not. It's not like Jurassic Spark or Return to Earth, where I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm the co-creator of this. I know everything." It's more like I hear what Sam tells me, but it's not. I don't have every information. But I remember I had the realization that I recorded my rollout might have been lines way before my Hearts of Steel. I think I even recorded them before my Finest Hour lines.
I think you did.
Because I got the script for rollout what might have been like almost a year ago. It's been a while.
What I thought was funny about that was, Hotspot driving off a cliff is it's like a very important moment in that whole series.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was thinking like, well, Cliffjumper and Scourge both survive falling off a cliff, so so maybe Hotspot would have survived.
Well, I guess he didn't, because what might have been.
I had to be very careful with what might have been, because like with Hotspot being successful in his attempt, that needs to be handled respectfully and very carefully, and that's why you do not see him go off the cliff. You do not hear an impact. You do not see an impact. It was very important because there are rules you have to follow about showing like mental illness and attempts in videos and films. And so I tried to stick with those rules, and I tried to make sure the film itself did not end on a sad note, that it still ended on a positive note, despite the fact of what happened. And this is why we really want to get Chandler on a podcast one day, because just as Hotspot through all these years has nailed the emotion behind this character, and him as Hotspot and me as First Aid, is one of my favorite just like two characters together, and it's a very emotional film, and I'm glad that people have said that the film was done respectfully. And I'm very glad about that, because I was very scared. It went through a lot of people first. Like MK, I sent it to you, Gavin. I sent it to some other people that don't even know like our work that well, to be like, hey, is this distasteful? Is this offensive? Is it too far? You let me know.
So,
yeah,
I'll say this. I haven't made it known that much like publicly, but Sam, I'm not the biggest fan of Rollout 1. I always felt I thought it wasn't handled the best. I mean, we've talked about this before. And I honestly think what might have been shows how much I think as a storyteller you have matured in your writing, because I think it tackles very, the similar thing, but I think it tackles it in a much more mature and well-handled way.
Yeah, I really liked that. The what might have been like, there was a certain part where I was like, if like the whole thinking, the whole concept of what if this had been different? I thought you did a really good job at portraying that.
I did go back to watch Rollout 1 before I scripted this, and I have to admit, like, Rollout 1 for me has not aged too well, and it does kind of feel like all the Hotspot stuff comes out of left field and is a bit too over the top. So it's like I really tried to wind it down for this one and be more grounded. And I like to think that as the Rollout films progressed, they became more grounded and a bit more realistic.
I think another thing, you've talked to me about the writing of Rollout 1. Rollout 1 was written during a very peak emotional moment where you weren't necessarily processing the world around you as much. You were more just kind of in that emotion, where I feel like what might have been in the future Rollout sequels, you've gone past that emotion, and you've really you're able to, I guess, write the scenes more clear, like in a more clear headspace, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, because when I wrote the first Rollout, I was in a pretty rough mental state, and I didn't know how to handle it. or how to talk about it. So like writing Rollout 1 was kind of me putting all of my pain into a script and just tried to come up with something. But then by the time I'm writing what might have been, I've matured. It's been half a decade.
God.
Yeah, oh God, I knew I shouldn't have said that. But it's like I've learned a lot about myself and the world and stuff like that. So I do think it comes from
Actually, Sam, I'm so sorry. It's been more than half a decade. Because you know what I had the realization of? Mexico City was half a decade ago.
Yeah, thanks, okay.
Hey,
When did the first rollout come out?
2017.
Jinx. That does remind me, Coolerite has brought up that he wouldn't mind, and I've thought about this, a Rollout 1 remake.
I've talked about this with you, though, too. I feel like I'm in the opposite mindset of it.
Yeah, we did have this talk a while ago. I remember I had talked about it with Zeta as well, and it's like, I don't think it needs a remake.
It would be genuine, yeah.
Yeah, same. I think the only reason why I would make a remake for Rollout 1 is maybe just to fit the lore in a bit better and to make it match visually the other two films. But again, I just don't think it needs it.
I think Rollout 1, unlike Interstellar, came out in a point where your filmmaking had already improved dramatically. And also, Interstellar's emotional, but it's not a human emotion. Like, it's not wrapped around like certain real life issues. So remaking it made more sense, and the original Interstellar is much more dated than Rollout is. So I think the fact that Rollout essentially relies so much on that human emotion, and again, like I said, your headspace when making that film, you were in the middle of that emotion. I don't, like Carlos said, it would feel kind of disingenuous and just wouldn't have the same impact to me as the original.
Mm-hmm. No, I fully agree, and that's like something I try to like put into these films, like moving forward, is that genuine human emotion. And Carlos, if I recall, when we were coming up with the Hearts of Steel story, originally we never wrote anything about Cliffjumper having a backstory with Scourge. That was kind of something I kind of seeded in throughout the film to really give Cliff an emotional like motivation for what he's doing, and
why he's scared.
Yeah, why a character who isn't normally scared of fighting is scared. And human emotion, that's my favorite thing about the Transformers, is I remember there's a lot of, when the creators were making it, they said, they're not just robots. They're robots with emotions. And they feel, and, they have personalities, and a whole society, and languages, and stuff like that. So I really wanted to capture all of that in all the films that we do.
I know we have a problem with announcing things, but I do kind of want to talk about an idea that's been tossed around with you and me, Sam. This is the potential, not Rollout 4, because Rollout's done. However, that universe, we're doing the spin-offs, Dreadwind, Dead End, and so on. But we've also talked about making another, like, bigger Rollout film that isn't a sequel, but it's its own film that's just in the Rollout universe, but it is a very loose take on like the Lost Light story.
Yeah, Lost Light. Because I mean, that's you say Lost Light in the Transformers comic community, and people will know what that is, except me. except for me.
Well, obviously it's the story of More Than Meets the Eye and Lost Light. It's easier to say Lost Light because More Than Meets the Eye goes to so many different Transformers media. Because again, this is just something that was briefly discussed, but because I know on the Complete Saga, a bunch of people were asking, is there going to be a Rollout 4? There's ideas for follow-ups to Rollout, but like there isn't going to be just a Rollout 4. Like there's not going to be the continued adventures of Hotspot. Like Hotspot may pop up. There might be direct sequels. There might be things like that, but the Rollout itself is a trilogy. Can I confidently say that there will not be a film called Rollout 4?
You see,
oh god,
I have.
I
know.
That's a no. Never mind. I take everything back.
I have ideas, but I can confidently say I don't want to make a Rollout 4 because, like, if there was a rollout 4, it would be under a different name because it would follow a different cast of
That's
characters.
what I meant. That's what I meant. There's
Yeah.
more films in the rollout universe, but we're never going to see a rollout 4. Like, in terms of...
It will be called Rise Up.
That was rollout 2's original name.
That was rollout 2's original name. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I had an idea for a rollout 4 where Optimus would go meet the Quintessons to be like, why the hell did you make these Galvatron? And then Quintessons would see he's busted and remake him into Nemesis Prime. But yeah, if I ever did a rollout 4, it would be a continuation of the world, but not like Hotspot. Like he's done. Like his first aid. Hotspot's story in the rollout like continuity. Like he's done. That the protective bots, they're all finished. So any other story would take place afterwards or before, but wouldn't really involve those characters much, if at all. Before we end this, as we usually like to call out creators and such, I do want to mention someone. He has voiced for us a lot in the past, and he did voice Skywarp in Hearts of Steel. So this might be a bit of a cop-out, but he is a big creator outside of TFI, and that's Pixar Prime 10, Jack McCaffrey. I really like that guy, mainly because he reviews something that I've always wanted. He reviews, like, Hess trucks and vehicles. These little like toy trucks from the Hess brand that look all Christmassy themed. I've always loved those reviews of his, and he's a teacher as far as I know in like filmmaking and stuff. So he's a very, very talented voice actor and reviewer, and definitely give him a follow. Pixar Prime 10 on YouTube. I love that guy to death.
Right. And I feel like we discussed a lot about like Hearts of Steel and the films going on. Any last minute like things we want to bring up? You know, any Halloween plans?
Oh God, I wanted to do a Ghostbusters crossover this year, but I just didn't get the time
Just never seen
to even
Ghostbusters.
watch the film.
Yeah.
I mean, I have. You haven't.
Yeah.
Have to clarify.
He has to watch it with me because I've been trying to get him to watch Ghostbusters for like 4 or 5 years now. No, so anything you're dressing up as? Anything?
Oh, I'm going. I'm going out with my niece and nephew for Halloween night, and I have a full-on Jack Sparrow costume. I'm gonna do the walk.
Yes, you gotta send video of that.
I'm gonna do the walk. I'm gonna do the run. I'm gonna do it all. Like it's a full costume with like the wig and everything.
I work on Halloween, but I think I'm just gonna bring my one-piece straw hat and wear that to work.
I went to a Halloween party last night with friends, dressed up as a knight, so that was fun. But no actual Halloween plans. I worked that day.
Oh, I booked it off. Well, that seems to be all the time we have. But again, if you enjoyed this podcast, thank you very much. In the comments now, because MK just brought up Halloween, do you have a costume this year? Because as you heard, I'm going out as Jack Sparrow, and I will be posting photos to that on my Instagrams for sure. And did you enjoy Hearts of Steel? And if you did, why was the Gigawatt scene your favorite scene? But with that being said, we're going to bring this to a close. Carlos, thank you for joining us this time. We had to reschedule so you could be in this one.
You're welcome.
MK, per usual, thank you for getting this going. What episode is this? Like 6?
6.
Oh, damn. And still on time-ish.
No. Well, depends on when this gets uploaded, because this is being recorded on October 22nd. So, if Sam, you got 8 days. 9.
8 days. Oh my goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Yes. But again, thank you both for being here. We're gonna end it here. This was a fun one. You got this sort of an in-depth look at the Hearts of Steel.
Always good to have a guest, and Carlos, you're always welcome back.
Oh, thanks. It was fun being here. That sounded like I was reading a script, but that's legit.
No, I'm glad we were able to get you, because we one last closing note. We were actually going to record last week, but then I was like, wait, it's the Hearts of Steel just came out. Let's get Carlos. And then I was like, hey, Carlos, you free? He's like, you were like, I won't be free for like another hour or two. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work with Sam. So let's yeah.
I was busy.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we got it working.
To be fair, it was very late notice, so.
Yeah, no, it was. It was like hey, we're recording in like an hour. You good?
Yep.
But it worked out, so, yeah.
Yep. No, I'm glad it did. This was a good episode.
All right, so we will end it here. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you all in the very next podcast in November. Fare thee well.
Yay.
Goodbye.
That was a weird way to end it, but all right.
How's that a weird way to end it? Fare thee well. Fare thee well, Olga.